Okay. Well, I am slowly losing my voice, so my wife is going to lead the Jaya Radha Madhava. Thank you all for coming. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopinath Vallabha Girivardhari Gopinath Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Bhajadana Ranjana Yashodanandana Bhajadana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopinath Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Bhajadana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajigacharya Asasatra Shri His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajigacharya Asasatra Shri His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Anantakoti Vaishnavinda Ki Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Sekaho Shri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Yamuna Devi Ki Ganga Devi Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Tulsi Devi Ki Vrindavan Dham Ki Mayapur Dham Ki Sankirtan Yagya Ki Gaur Premanandi, all glories, the assembled devotees, all glories, the assembled devotees, all glories, the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo. I understand they're serving prasadam downstairs, so how glorious that you'd rather be here and listen, take prasadam later, or maybe you already did. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agyanatimirandasya Dana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Gena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Today I'm going to speak about Lord Caitanya taking sannyas. Now, why would one take sannyas? Right? One takes sannyas. Well, first of all, what is sannyas? So here in the Bhagavad Gita, there's several verses, but I'll just read one verse explaining. Kamyanam karmanam nyasam sannyasam kavayo vibhu sarvakarma palatyagam prabhustyagam vichakshama. Giving up activities that are based on material desire is what learned men call the renounced order of life, sannyas. And giving up the result of all activities is what the wise call renunciation or tyag. Now, does the Lord have material desires? No. So why would he take sannyas? Krishna tells that no work binds me, like the living entities bound by the law of karma. But he said, I'm totally transcendental to that. So nothing binds me. Krishna has no material desires. So why would Lord Caitanya do it? Why would he take sannyas? We see that sannyas is a very great thing. It's a great deal of austerity and renunciation. And so he did it. There's different reasons that he did it. You'll be hearing more because it's only a few weeks until Gaur Purnima, so you'll be hearing more about the glories of Lord Caitanya and how never has there been an incarnation more magnanimous, nor will there ever be one as magnanimous as he. And so he did it for two reasons. The first reason is he's like Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, the conclusion, 18th chapter, Sarvadharmam parichaja mamekam sharanam vaja aham tvam sarvapapebhyo mokshayishyami masuchaha. He's saying, okay, abandon all varieties of religion, just surrender unto me. I'll deliver you. Then Krishna was thinking, I told them to do that, but I didn't demonstrate how to do it. So the Lord took sannyas for us, for you, and for me, and for all of the living entities in this material world. I mean, he had the most affectionate mother, Sachi, the goddess of fortune, as his wife, and Srimati Vishnupriya. But he did it to come and show how to be a devotee. And then, what's the other reason? Also to taste that, to experience what is it like to be a devotee? Because my devotees, especially Srimati Radharani, the gopis are the topmost devotees because they have given everything to Krishna. And he said, I wonder what it is because their happiness is even greater than mine. So I want to experience that, but also to repay his debt. You see, he had a debt. What does Krishna say? Yeyatamam prapajante. If you know, you can say with me. Yeyatamam prapajante tamstadaiva bhajamyaham what is it? Manu vartante manusya sarva. What? All right, Manusya Bharta Sarvashaha. So he said, as they surrender unto me, I reward accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects. So you see, Krishna, he's reciprocating with every living entity. He said, as they surrender, I reward accordingly. And even in Vrindavan, Krishna has the different mellows, right? He has his different relationships. There's the Shanta, the neutral kind of love. And then there's servant. Then there's the friend, Sakha. And then there's Vatsalya, parental love. And then Madhurya love. So he has to reciprocate. And then even with those who are not devotees, he's reciprocating by giving them the results of their karma and like just trying to entice them to turn to him. But the gopis, exclusive love for him, nothing else. So he has to spread his love to every living entity. And Bahu Shaka, like one whose intelligence is many-branched. So in a sense, Krishna's many-branched because he has a relationship with every living entity. But the gopi, Srimati Radharani, is exclusively devoted to him. So he's repaying his debt by coming in the mood of Radha. Because you see, when Radha, she liked to wear blue because it reminded her of Krishna. But when she was in separation, when she couldn't be with him, she would actually wear saffron cloth. Saffron, like it's the color of that feeling of separation. So the Lord appeared and to experience that separation and to repay his debt in that way. So we see that there's many facets to the Lord's appearing. So he certainly doesn't have to take sannyas, but yet he did. And so I'll tell you a little bit about the history of his taking sannyas. And of course, many of you know already, because it occurred 504 years and 1 month ago, almost to the day, on the 15th of January. And so at that time, 4 years ago, there was much speaking about it. So you may remember hearing. But one time, you see what happened was, like I say, he's absorbed in the mood of the gopis. So he was a teacher. Nimai Pandit became a teacher. And one day he was sitting and he was chanting, Gopi, Gopi, Gopi. And one student came to visit him. He had heard how Nimai Pandit was such a great teacher and Brahmin and devotee. And he came to visit him. And then he saw him chanting, Gopi, Gopi, Gopi. And this student said, what are you doing? Chanting Gopi, Gopi, Gopi. Who ever heard of that? In what scripture does it say to chant Gopi, Gopi? We understand that we're meant to chant the name Krishna, right? And Hare Krishna. By chanting the name of Krishna, one achieves the ultimate perfection, not Gopi. And then he was absorbed in this trance, and when that student said that, he just said, why would I worship him? He's just a rogue, what he did to Bali Maharaj, for no reason, and then Surpanaka cut off her nose and ears due to the just being so much attached to his wife. So why would I worship him? And then he told the student, get out of here. And he took a stick and he started chasing the student because he was so angry at him. And the student ran and ran. And Nimai, this happened on several occasions. His, like in America they have football, you call it something else, American football, where they tackle. So several times Lord Chaitanya's associates would have to go and tackle him to subdue him. So he's chasing the student, and then his close associates ran and grabbed him and said, all right, calm down, don't overreact to this. So meanwhile, this student ran to his friends and so other students, and he said, I almost didn't escape with my life. That Nimai Pandit is so arrogant that he was chasing me with a stick He was even going to beat me, and he was chanting Gopi, Gopi. And they're all like, well, who does he think he is? You know, we are also sons of Brahmins. He's no better than we are. So how can he dare to be so arrogant? Well, we should beat him. We should beat that Nimai Pandit and teach him a good lesson. So now, word came back to Lord Chaitanya that they were talking like this. And he's like, oh no, what have I done? And then he said, and no one knew, what's he talking about? So the students made a plan that they were going to beat him. And then Mahaprabhu said, Kari la pipali kanda kapani barite Ulatiya aro kappa badila de hete. I made the medicine, Pipalaya Kanda, to clear excess mucus, but instead of clearing the mucus in the body, it created more. So he said, I came to bring the medicine whereby everyone could be delivered. And instead, whereas previously these students had just one noose around their neck, just, a little bit of materialism. Now they're bound by a network of millions due to their offense. And so, so he felt, just see how I have caused this, and I need Pipalaya Kanda. So anyway, so Nimai, he said, oh boy, what am I going to do? And he just started laughing, because he's like, I came and now the opposite effect has occurred. And no one knew, what is he laughing about? But only Nityananda knew. Nityananda knew why he was laughing. So after he said this, what he did was he took Nityananda aside, and he said, you see, Nityananda, that I have to tell you that I've come to deliver the people, and instead they're committing so many offenses, so I have to take sannyas. And what did Nityananda say? It said that his mind, body, and life airs were shattered. And he said, my Lord, you are the maintainer of all the planets, and you're fully independent, but how can you do that? That's not necessary, but I know you're independent, so go and ask the other close associates of yours and see what they have to say. Go get their permission. And then Mahaprabhu just embraced him again and again, like, thank you, that kind of permission. So, and then when Mahaprabhu left, Nityananda went to a solitary place, sat down, and cried, thinking of Mother Sachi and how she would be devastated by this news. So then Lord Chaitanya went to see Mukunda. Mukunda, he's a great singer. So Lord Chaitanya went, and Mukunda paid his dandavats, and Mahaprabhu said, sing for me. So he had a kirtan, and Lord Chaitanya roared. He was so happy to hear it. But then he told him, I'm going to shave my shika, and I'm going to give up my Brahmin thread, because I will soon take sannyas. And Mukunda, he just fell into so much lamentation. And again, he said, but what about your mother? And what about your young wife? How can you? But he was very submissive, and I know you're going to do whatever you want to do, but please, can we just have kirtan for a few more days before you do it? Let's have kirtan. So Mahaprabhu agreed that, yes, we'll have kirtan. Then Lord Chaitanya went to see Gadadhara Pandit. And then when he saw Gadadhara, he said, Gadadhara was like, he also offered obeisances, and he said, again, like he was hit by a thunderbolt when Lord Chaitanya said this. And he said, because he told them, I'm not going to remain here long. And then Gadadhar said, your statement is so puzzling to me. What makes you think you have to take sannyas to achieve perfection just by shaving your shika, giving up your Brahmin thread? That will make you dear to Krishna? No, engaging in devotional service and chanting the holy name, that will make you dear. There's no need to do these other things, thinking that that's necessary to achieve the favor of the Lord. So he was telling him that that really you don't have to do this. Where in the Vedas does it say that you should abandon your widowed mother and your young wife? And so Gadadhar was kind of chastising him, telling him that everybody loves householders, and you could just engage in the Sankirtan mission being a householder. There's no need to do that. And then Lord Chaitanya said, yeah, well, about the Brahmin's curse, because one time a Brahmin, he heard about Lord Chaitanya's dancing at the home of Srivas Thakur for their nocturnal kirtans. And so he went there and he knocked on the door, and they said, sorry, it was a closed party of only very close associates. And they said, sorry, you can't come in. And this Brahmin got so angry the next day, because every morning Lord Chaitanya would go to bathe in the Ganga, sometimes 3 times a day. He would go there. So when he went, that Brahmin, he wrapped his finger around his thread and he said, I curse you that you will not have good material life, that your material life will be ruined, he said. And that he said, I was forbidden, so now you must now leave all the happiness of your family life. And when Lord Chaitanya heard this, he was so happy. He thought, wow, what a blessing. He thinks that he's cursing me, but it's a blessing, because then I can deliver all living people. And so I shall depart from home. Now, although Lord Chaitanya had only told Nityananda, Mukunda, and Gadadhar, somehow word leaked out, and Mother Sachi came to know of it. So when he came home one day, Mother Sachi, she asked him to sit down, and she said, I heard the news that you're going to take sannyas. So she's like, how can I live without seeing your beautiful moon-like face and your lotus eyes and your bright smile, and seeing and hearing the words emanating from your mouth that are just like showers of nectar? How can I live without that? And my husband has gone to Vaikuntha. Jagannath Mishra had passed away. My son Vishwarup, he took sannyas already. I have no one to take care of me, and nobody to be my guardian. So how can you do that? Why would you want to go? Here you have Nityananda to engage in Sankirtan with, and Advaitacharya, and Mukunda, and all of your dear associates, and you can, every day you have kirtan with them. What's the necessity? You don't have to go. And she was so grief-stricken. Meanwhile, Nimai is just like this. He just looked down, he wouldn't look up, and he wouldn't say a word. And so she just was like, just like that, talking. And then finally he said, my dear mother, just know that you are eternally my mother. You have been my mother in so many incarnations that how many lifetimes I've been your son. You were Prishni, and you were my mother. Later you were Aditi, and I was your son Vaman. Later you became Devahuti, and I was Kapila. You were Kaushalya, and I was Ram. And then you became Devaki. And so many times I have been your son. So don't worry. We will always be connected. And all you have to do is just call me, call my name, and I will be present. I will always be available to take care of you. And besides, in Kali Yuga, again, you will be my mother in 2 more incarnations in Kali Yuga. Anybody know what they are? What's the incarnation in Kali Yuga? What? Oh, okay, but I mean Lord Chaitanya's time. Like, what incarnation are we all in touch with? Yeah, the holy name. So he said, I will appear as the holy name and as the deity. So you are my Mother Earth for the deity form, and you are my tongue for chanting the holy name. So always we're connected, so don't worry. So she was a little bit pacified. And then the time was approaching. Lord Chaitanya, he told Nityananda, I want you to tell only 5 people that on this day, the Sankranti, on this day, like the 15th of January, this is the day that I will leave. And so only tell Mother Sachi, and then tell Mukunda, Chandrasekhar Acharya, Brahmananda Bharati, and Brahmananda Bharati, and Gadadhar Pandit. Just tell them and no one else. So now they know that he's going to leave. So the day arrives, and Lord Chaitanya, he just had regular, kind of a regular day. After going to the Ganga, he came home, and he had all the devotees used to come and visit him. It said even Lord Brahma could not count how many devotees. They would come and offer him a garland and sandalwood paste, and then he would offer them a garland and sandalwood paste, and people would just come, pay their obeisances, and then he told everyone, everyone who came, he said, Bolo Krishna, Bhaja Krishna, Gao Krishna Nam, Krishna Vinu, Keha Kichu, Na Bhaviha An. Glorify Krishna, worship Krishna, and chant the name of Krishna. Do not think of anything other than Krishna. If you love me, then follow my instructions. Don't chant, don't speak any other name, any other topics than those about Krishna. Excuse me. Whether you are sleeping, eating, or waking, day and night, think of Krishna and chant his name. So this is the night before. And so my husband will tell us a little more about the glories of that holy name that Mahaprabhu told everyone to chant. Then I will resume his taking sannyas.
Jnana-timirandasya gana-gana salakaya chakshu-anminitam jena tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I have been born in the darkest of ignorance, but my eyes have been opened with the torchlight of knowledge by my spiritual master. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Vacharine Nirvasesha Shunyavadi Paskatya Jasatarine. So, I'm going to make a special request that all of you, to help you stay awake, I'm going to ask you a few questions. Not that I'm going to entertain you all the time, but you can entertain me. And this will help you in your learning process. In regards to the chanting of the holy name in this age, everyone must know the famous quote from the Brihad Naradiya Purana. You can chant with me if you like. Harinama, Harinama, Harinama eva kevalam. Kalona steva nasteva nasteva gatiranyata. So here, this verse means chant the holy names, chant the holy names, chant the holy names 3 times. There is no other way, there is no other way in this age of Kali to attain self-realization. And we know, everyone know what yuga we're in here? Help me because I'm losing my voice. Anyone? Kali Yuga, right. So what do we have to look forward to in this Kali Yuga? What? This is the age of quarrel. It's the age of fighting. Don't we see it every day in the news? It is when people are short-lived, they're short-tempered, and they have short desire for spiritual life. But there is one redeeming factor. That in this age of Kali, Kaler Doshana, does it know this verse? Kaler Dosha Nide Rajan Asti Eko Mahan Guna Kirtanad Eva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Param Vrajet. My dear king, this is Sukadeva Goswami speaking to Maharaj. Who? Parikshit. My dear king, although Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults, there is still one good quality about this age. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, one can become free from material bondage and be promoted to the transcendental kingdom. Now this is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam itself. Canto 12, chapter 3, text 51. Then in the Sri Caitanya Charitamrita, in this age of Kali, the holy name of the Lord, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, is the incarnation of Lord Krishna. Simply by chanting the holy name, one associates with the Lord directly. So what does this actually mean, that one associates with the Lord directly? It means that Krishna is there in His holy name. That Krishna manifests in His name, His pastimes, His form, His qualities. They are all non-different. It is not of this material world. Just like in this material world, the word itself is different from the experience. Just like if you're thirsty, right? Like right now I'm thirsty. If I chant water, 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 will I satisfy my thirst? No, it's not the same thing. However, if you chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare, Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare, Hare. Immediately the whole atmosphere becomes surcharged with spiritual energy. Why is that? Because we are associating directly with Krishna. Krishna is there in His holy name. You can access Krishna at any moment, at any time of your life, in any circumstance. Krishna is there in His holy name. What is our most valuable treasure that we have? Our beads, the holy name. Immediately you can experience Krishna's mercy. Krishna comes in this incarnation as the holy name. That holy name can deliver us from Maya. What is Maya? Who knows what Maya is? Yes. That which is not. It is the illusory energy of the Lord. As each one of us comes into this material world, we came here out of a separate desire to enjoy separately from Krishna, to be Krishna, to lord it over the material nature. And therefore we are called Tatashta Shakti. We are both the material energy and the spiritual energy. This material body, which is made of earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego, are Krishna's 8 separated energies. That's not really who we are. Who are we? Apareyam itastvanyam prakritim vidime param jiva bhutam mahabaho yedam darite jagat. What is that verse in English? Some of you Bhagavad Gita scholars. Yes. Anybody? Apareyam itastvanyam. Nobody? Come on. Very easy. It's Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter. That, yes. There is another superior energy of mind, and that is the soul, which is engaging in this material world. The soul, in its natural constitutional position, is Sat Chit Ananda. Sat, and Sat means eternal. Chit, what? Full of knowledge. Ananda, bliss. Yes, that is our constitutional position. But because we are covered over by the 3 modes of material nature, for all intents and purposes, we are continuously forgetful of Krishna. How can we be in the spiritual energy? That's through this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Prabhupada once quoted Janaka Pandit. He said, 1 moment cannot be bought back with millions of dollars. Prabhupada said, don't waste time. Don't waste your time. Always chant Hare Krishna. 2 processes with the tongue. So no matter where we are or what we're doing, we can chant Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada was a prime example of this. We know there's a famous story, a true story, that Srila Prabhupada was in Bombay and Juhu Beach. This was when they were building the temple. And he was on the construction site instructing all the different workers, the manager of all the workers, how and what to do. He was spending 5 or 10 minutes talking all about bricks and how to engage all the workers and all kinds of details. And then one of his, Mr. Patel, I believe it was, he said, one of the congregation, he said, Prabhupada, but I thought in the Bhagavad Gita here, it says, Satatam Yata Satatam Kirtayanto Mam, that the devotees are always chanting and hearing my glories. They're engaged in worshiping me, and they give their devotion to me. And the last 10 minutes, I have not heard you speaking at all about Krishna. And then Prabhupada instructed him to come to the backside of Prabhupada. And there he heard Prabhupada, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. He was constantly chanting Hare Krishna. And that is the way that we can become free from the illusory energy, by always chanting. Prabhupada often says this in many places. Chant the Hare Krishna mantra 24 hours a day. Practically speaking, we have seen this in Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master Bhaktisiddhanta instructed his disciples to chant 64 rounds at And even now, some of my godbrothers, I know they chant 64 rounds on Ekadasi. How many of you are regularly chanting japa on your beads? Can I see a show of hands? Please don't be shy. Okay. Not 64. Any amount of rounds. Okay? So you're all chanting on your beads, right? So this is our ticket back to Godhead. These beads are, Srila Prabhupada called it, this is our umbilical cord. The umbilical cord connects us to the mother. And she gives us nourishment and nurturing. And that is the process of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Srila Prabhupada explains in his famous 5-minute talk about the chanting of the holy name that by chanting this transcendental vibration, we can cleanse away all misgivings within our hearts. The basic principle of all such misgivings is the false consciousness that I am the Lord over what I survey. The word Hare is the form of addressing the energy of the Lord, and the words Krishna and Rama are forms of addressing the Lord himself. Both Krishna and Rama mean the supreme pleasure, and Hare, the supreme pleasure energy of the Lord. The three words, namely Hare, Rama, and Krishna, are the transcendental seeds of the Maha Mantra. The chanting is a spiritual call for the Lord and His energy to give protection to the conditioned soul. This chanting is exactly like the genuine crying of a child for its mother's presence. Mother Hara helps the devotee achieve the Lord Father's grace, and the Lord reveals Himself to the devotee who chants this mantra sincerely. And we know from this famous book called Padma Purana, it explains that Nama Chintamani Krishnas Nitya Mukta. Yeah? Caitanya? What else? Nitya Mukta. So, the transcendental Krishna himself is non-different from his holy name, and he appears. The holy name of Krishna is transcendentally blissful. It bestows all spiritual benedictions, for it is Krishna himself, the reservoir of all pleasure. Krishna's name is complete, and it is the form of all transcendental mellows. It is not a material name under any condition, and it is no less powerful than Krishna himself. Since Krishna's name is not contaminated by the material qualities, and there is no question of it being involved with Maya, Krishna's name is always liberated and spiritual. It is not conditioned by the laws of material nature. This is because the name of Krishna and Krishna himself are identical. We know the wonderful song by Narottam Das Thakur, Golokera Premadana Harinam Sankirtan. And what does that mean? That means that this holy name has come down directly from the spiritual world. Harinam Sankirtan is directly descended from the spiritual world of Goloka Vrindavan, appearing in this world as the Sankirtan movement of the chanting of Lord Hari's holy names. So Krishna, it's once said that Krishna wants us more to go back to Godhead than we do himself, ourselves. Krishna himself has come in the form of Lord Chaitanya to give us the holy name. When we take shelter of Krishna's holy name, we are immediately taking full shelter of Krishna. And we are experiencing His protection, His love, His complete unadulterated association. When we're sitting down and chanting Hare Krishna, we are talking with Krishna. Krishna is there in our heart. He's already there as a super soul. Just like in the Bhagavad Gita, they shows a picture, there's two birds in the heart. The heart is where the love comes from. The heart is where the soul is situated, and also the super soul. Krishna is there. When you chant the Hare Krishna mantra, you are chanting and requesting, Krishna, please, please engage me in your service. Let me associate with you. Krishna will give you direction from within. Krishna is the best psychiatrist. Krishna is the best way to experience direction. And Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita, also 7th chapter, Daivahi Esha Gunamai Mama Maya Durachaya Mameva Ye Prapadyante Maya Metam Tarantite. This divine energy of mind, consisting of the modes of material nature, is very, very difficult to overcome. But one who surrenders unto me can easily cross beyond it. So simply we have to take shelter of the holy name. That is not such an easy thing. We are chanting every morning, Trinadapi Sunichena, Turodapi Sahishnuna, Amanina, Amanadena, Kirtaniya, Sadahari. One can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. In what? A humble state of mind. Thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street, more tolerant than the tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respects to? Yes. So that is not easy. In this state of mind, one can chant the holy name constantly. So, if you're having problems chanting the holy name, keep chanting. Don't give up. By the constant chanting, our heart becomes purified. It becomes free from the modes of material nature. It becomes free from all the sinful activities that we have committed over thousands of lifetimes. What to speak of this lifetime? This is the process in this age. Krishna fully invests all of his transcendental energy within this holy name. And the constant chanting of the holy name of the Lord after the ways of the great authorities is the doubtless and fearless way of success for all living entities. So Lord Caitanya himself came. And like Srila Prabhupada came to us when I first joined in 1971, what was I attracted by? The process that was given. Srila Prabhupada tricked us. He said, all you have to do is, this is a process of chanting, dancing, and feasting. So Srila Prabhupada instructed us in this way, that if you do these two things with your tongue, what are those two things that we must do? Chanting and feasting. And Srila Prabhupada said specifically, he said in one lecture, John Mastami, 1968 in Hamburg, Germany, he gave this talk and he said that if you'll do these two things, do not eat anything except Krishna Prasadam, and use your tongue for chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, then you will return back to home, back to Godhead. Just do these two things. And there are so many wonderful preparations. I remember when I first became a devotee, I was so unbelievably enlivened by all the wonderful preparations. We used to have literally 12-course feasts. And later I became attracted to the kitchen. I engaged in service there, washing pots for 1 year. And in that service, I had the wonderful benediction of being able to scrape all the pots and get all the wonderful little prasadam left over. It was so wonderful and nurturing. And I immediately became attracted to Radharani's kitchen, and that's where I took up my service. And when I got my first initiation and Brahmin initiation, those times in all of our temples, one could not cook for the deities unless he was first and second initiated. After I got my second initiation, when during japa I would be meditating, I'd be dreaming about all the wonderful preparations I could cook for Krishna. Samosas, chutney, halava, sabji, pakoras, dahi wada, so many wonderful preparations. So this is what we're meant to be doing. And Krishna is eternally connected with us. He is our best friend. And when you chant, you are receiving Krishna's mercy, His love, His guidance, and His protection. And at any moment, you can immediately start chanting. One of my practices in my devotional career, because I do a lot of cooking, especially if I'm cooking an offering and I want to get the offering on time, or if I'm doing a catering engagement, I have a time constriction, I must have the preparations ready at a certain time. I'll start chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And immediately Krishna will give me direction of how to prepare things nicely, how to keep clean, how to work with velocity and with focus and attention. So this is this is our greatest gift, this holy name. We must always, always increase our chanting, and don't waste a moment not chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. There is so many different opportunities now. We have so much facility. If you're at home cooking, or if you're in the car driving, or maybe you're a passenger, hopefully, you shouldn't be chanting on your beads while you're driving. But you can listen to an iPod or a CD, always hearing transcendental sound vibration. Because as soon as the sound vibration stops, then again the material energy starts penetrating. The modes of ignorance and passion start falling into our consciousness. So this is Krishna's phone number. And we can call him anytime. And we can be directly connected with the spiritual world through this Hare Krishna mantra. So there's two processes. One is kirtan. The kirtan is just as important as japa, if not more. In the kirtan we gain great strength in numbers. By chanting together, we experience the ecstasy. And Prabhupada said this is a movement for dancing. We're meant to dance for Krishna. Lord Chaitanya gave us the most intimate, the most esoteric, the most amazing opportunity that it's inconceivable how we got the opportunity to be here at this particular time when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, just 500 years ago, came, and he is the golden avatar, the avatar that was predicted in the Srimad Bhagavatam that would come and distribute the holy name, the golden avatar. And so we must always take shelter of the holy name. And remember these two things. Never be puffed up. Always chant the holy name in a humble state of mind. And I want to ask everyone, what are the two most important principles, the basic principles in devotional service that are the foremost direction, the most important thing to always keep in the forefront? And I'll give you a hint. There are many regulative principles in the Shastras and directions given by the spiritual master. These regulative principles should act as servants of this basic principle. Raise your hand if you know the answer. Go ahead, you can hazard a guess. I won't get on your case if you go ahead. And never forget him, right? Always remember Krishna and never forget him. Of course, it's easy to remember and never forget Krishna here in the temple room. But, when we're out in the material energy and in the streets of Bombay, it may be more difficult. Here, Srila Prabhupada is writing in this purport. He says that one should always remember Krishna and never forget him. This is possible when one chants the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. This is always possible, Prabhupada said. You cannot forget Krishna. You will always remember Krishna if you simply chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And for those of you who are initiated, Prabhupada has said that one may have other duties to perform under the direction of the spiritual master, but he must first abide by the spiritual master's order to chant a certain number of rounds. In our Krishna Consciousness movement, we have recommended that the neophyte chant at least 16 rounds. So we are all neophytes. Those of you that haven't come to the platform of 16 rounds, you can gradually come. The chanting of 16 rounds is absolutely necessary if one wants to remember Krishna and not forget him. Of all the regulative principles, the spiritual master's order to chant at least 16 rounds is most essential. So, please take advantage of this process and chant in a humble state of mind. And the second most important thing to remember when you're chanting is do not be inattentive. This is the one, inattention to the chanting of the holy name is the one offense that underlies each other offense. Okay? So the first offense against the holy name, you can repeat with me. 1, blaspheming those devotees who have dedicated their lives to propagating the holy name of the Lord. 2, to consider the names of the demigods, such as Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma, to be independent or equal to the name of Lord Vishnu. 3, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. 4, to blaspheme the Vedic literatures or literatures in pursuance of the Vedic version. 5, to consider the chanting Hare Krishna as imagination. 6, to give some mundane interpretation on the holy names. 7, to commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting the holy names. 8, to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, karma kanda. 9, to instruct the faithless person about the holy name. And 10, to not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names. And to maintain material attachments, even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses. In order to quickly attain the desired success, Krishna Prema! So now we'll hear more about Krishna Prema from Lord Chaitanya's pastime.
Jai. Thank you.
Of taking sannyas. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I left off with all of the guests coming to visit Nimai Pandit, coming and going. And so then what he did was Sridhar, Kolavetra Sridhar, he bought Lord Chaitanya a squash, like a squash, and Lord Chaitanya thought, oh boy, I'm leaving in the morning, but I can't waste this, because he always brought this gourd squash with so much devotion. He had a vine that used to grow up on top of his roof, although he was extremely poor, so he could offer that squash. And then he thought, but I must honor this, because I don't want it to go to waste. And just then, another devotee brought a pot of milk. So he said, great. So he said, Mata, cook this together. So Sachi Mata cooked the squash in the milk, maybe sugar too, maybe like a sweet preparation. So he had that, and everybody left, and then he had dinner, and so he was ready now to take rest, but Sachi Mata knew that he is going to leave soon. So she just sat in the doorway the whole night. But Nimai went into his room and took rest. But then after a while he was awoken by tears on his feet. So the rumor had spread, although he didn't say to tell Vishnupriya, she somehow heard that he's going to take sannyas. So she just was clasping his feet and crying and crying. And he woke up and he's like, Priya, what is the matter? You know, what's troubling you? And she just couldn't speak. She just was crying. And he's there, tell me. And he affectionately took her on his lap. And then he took the end of his chadar and he wiped her tears on her face. And he said, tell me, what is the matter? And so finally she told him that I heard you are going to take sannyas and you're going to leave home. So why don't I leave home instead? I'll just commit suicide. I'll just take poison because you are everything to me, and everything that I have, all of my qualities, my beauty, my any attributes, they're all for your pleasure. And so what is the purpose of me living? And she kept saying, I'm just like a pile of ashes, just a useless pile of ashes. So let me leave. And again, you're going to leave your widowed mother. Again, what kind of religious principle is this? You know, like so many people told him, you've come to teach religious principles and you're going to leave your mother. And he's there, don't worry, I won't. And, you know, he just pacified her, kind of not telling her the truth. But then, after a little while more, another hour, again he wakes up and she's crying and she's there, tell me the truth, put your hand on my head and tell me the truth. Are you going to leave home? And then he just preached to her really strongly, you know, how it's all an illusion. There's no other family but Krishna. It's the husbands and wives and children and relatives. These are all illusory relationships. And just realize that Krishna is your only relative. And just take full shelter of him. And he goes through the whole cycle of life, you know, the child and then growing up and then they become an old person and how there's so much suffering. And you should just take shelter of Krishna. And then just by his preaching, he was able to totally remove like all of her great anxiety, and she became actually joyful. But then she said, tell me though one thing, I feel like I'm falling down into hell, you know, just to be bereft of his association. And he said, don't worry, just like he told Sachi, I'll always be with you. All you have to do is remember me, and I will come. Just rest assured that I'll be present, as you spoke about the potency of the name, that the Lord is his name. And so, but then he just wept. So they both were just weeping. But then she was able to fall asleep. And so then he took advantage. Okay, now's the time. I'm leaving. But remember, Sachimata is sitting in the doorway. Vishnupriya. Oh, yeah. Okay. So he told her that, you know, we have both come. You are my eternal consort. And so we have come to deliver the people of this age. So you also have to make that sacrifice. So, but anyway, so then he took advantage of sneaking out the door, and Haridas Thakur was there at his house along with Gadadhar. They had come and spent the night on the floor, wanting to go with him, knowing. So then he has to pass Sachi Mata, and he just sees her sitting there crying, and he takes her two hands. And I don't know if anybody has ever heard Prabhupada telling about Lord Chaitanya, and Prabhupada starts crying on the recording when he tells how Nimai Pandit told his mother later, I shouldn't have taken sannyas, I'm not really fit for sannyas, and Prabhupada was crying telling it. But so he tells her, only because of your sacrifice, you gave up all of your own personal happiness just for me, so that I can live a nice life and so that I can have an education. And you sacrificed everything. And even in millions of kalpas, I will not be able to repay my debt to you. I am so much indebted. So, he's just telling her like that it's only your mercy that can relieve me. So please allow me to be free of this debt, and please allow me to go. And again, I will always take care of you. So Mother Sachi just listened, but she just cried. She didn't speak anything. And imagine, he just left his mother in the doorway and walked. And so this is, Sachi after Vishnupriya. So then he goes to pay obeisances to Mother Ganga, and he just keeps walking and walking to go to Katwa, because he was to take initiation from Keshava Bharati, right? Isn't that who? And did you know that Keshava Bharati's in the Mayavad, Sankaracharya line. So why would he take sannyas from the Sankaracharya line? Does anyone know? So he took sannyas there because that's what was most respected. And the reason Lord Chaitanya is doing this is because so that, he said, those people that wanted to beat me, they will pay respects to a sannyasi, and I will go begging at their door, and they will give me alms as a sannyasi. And so Keshava Bharati, he was highly respected, and that's why Lord Chaitanya just wanted that respect. And we heard the other day on Nityananda's Trayodasi that Nityananda broke his staff in 3 pieces to signify also that he's way beyond the Varna ashram, and also that he's a Tridandi sannyasi, dedicating body, mind, and words to the Lord. So this, so he went there, and he goes to see Keshava Bharati, and he pays obeisances, and he said, please give me sannyas. And Keshava Bharati's like, wow. Lord Chaitanya is so effulgent, and when he was going there, he was like mad. Sometimes he's singing, sometimes dancing, sometimes crying, sometimes walking fast, walking slow. He was just like in a state of madness. And Keshava Bharati looked at him and he said, you're just so young and so handsome, just like Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya told him, that you come back when you're 50 years old after the passion of youth has left you, and then I'll consider giving you sannyas, but not now. And then Lord Chaitanya starts crying. You must, he takes his feet. He said, I have achieved this very rare human form of life. How rare. And then in that human form of life, how rare more to achieve the mercy and devotion to Lord Krishna. So I just want to dedicate my life to Krishna, and this is all that I want. So please don't deprive me of this opportunity and have me waste my human form of life. And then Keshava Bharati thought, okay, all right, first you have to go home and get permission from your mother and from your wife, and then come back. And Keshava Bharati's plan was, when Nimai left, he would also leave. He would go away, so that when Mahaprabhu came back, he wouldn't be there. But then he thought, this personality is omniscient, and he is the maintainer of the world. He will find me no matter where I go. There's no hiding from him. But Lord Chaitanya, he said, okay, I'll go. So he started to walk towards Navadvip, and then Keshava Bharati said, okay, come back. I'll give you sannyas. And he started roaring and dancing and jumping up and down, Haribol, Haribol. He was so happy. Also, Lord Nityananda was there because he didn't allow the others to come with him. Haridas Thakur and Gadadhar Pandit, right? He didn't allow them to come. So now he's like so ecstatic that he's going to get sannyas. But then Keshava Bharati's like, I can't give you sannyas. How can I? And let's see, what came first? The hair cutting? Is the hair cutting before, right? Before the initiation? Okay, first you have to get your hair shaved. And you want to hear about Lord Chaitanya's hair? Because his hair was so beautiful. When all these people in this village of Katwa, they all came there to see this incredible personality who was jumping up and down, and they're like, oh my gosh, how can his mother and wife live without him? And then he said to all the ladies, you're all my mothers, so please give me your blessings that I can achieve the lotus feet of Krishna. And he was there, but listen about his hair. When they saw that beautiful hair, everyone was like, there's no way that he can shave it, because as he was about to be shaved, everyone covered their faces with their garments. They didn't want to see it. Lord Gaura's hair, the most graceful hair in all the three worlds, the hair goddess Lakshmi playfully fondles, the flower-decorated hair that rests on graceful elephant shoulders, the hair that charms all the worlds, the hair on which the devotees meditate, the hair that sustains the devotees' lives, the hair that made the gopis renounce their shyness, the hair that destroyed the gopis' fear of losing their families, honor, and righteousness, the hair that Shiva, Brahma, and Narada glorify with many songs, the hair the devotees in their hearts think the most glorious of all treasures, that glorious hair, Gaura, now wish to shave away. So everyone shed tears. And then the barber, his name was Madhu, he was like trembling in fear. He's like, how can I place my hand on the Lord's head? What sinful reactions will I receive? And he was like so distraught, and Nimai's there. Go ahead, do it, you have to do it. So he surrendered, but it took the whole day because Nimai kept jumping. Like he would shave a little and then Nimai would get up, Hare Krishna, and he'd just start dancing and chanting, and then, all right, sit down. And he couldn't do it. He wouldn't sit still. He was so restless that it took the barber the whole day. But finally he did it, and the barber, that was the last person he shaved. He's here on the ground crying with the hair. It's hard to see maybe. But it was the last person. After that, he became a cook, and he just made sweets. He didn't want to ever shave another person's head. Now, I saw on ISKCON Desire Tree this picture, my favorite picture. It's hard to see, just to backtrack a little, Vishnu Priya holding Lord Chaitanya's slippers, and these slippers are available. They're at a temple near with the deity that she worshipped. Can you see the incredible beauty and her distraughtness, how she just would fall on the floor fainting, and that's this is now after he left, just how much they were bereft. And so anyway, Lord Chaitanya, finally he gets shaved, then he goes to Keshava Bharati for initiation, and Keshava Bharati's like, I just can't do it. Like, how can I initiate you when you are the Lord of the whole universe? How is it possible that I can do that? So Nimai tricked him. You know that trick? How Nimai said, well, I had a dream. I had a dream that I was accepting sannyas, and in the dream, I received this mantra. So let me ask you, is this the sannyas mantra? So he whispered into Keshava Bharati's ear, and you see, he was actually initiating Keshava Bharati. So it's a kind of a trick. He was giving him the mantra, and then Keshava Bharati's like, yes, that's the mantra. And then Lord Chaitanya asked, that let me go, he just asked permission that he could go to Jagannath Puri. That's where Mahaprabhu spent the last 24 years of his life, absorbed in the mood of Radharani. So now, meanwhile, though, back there in Navadvip. So he goes, he takes sannyas, and everyone in Katwa, they're all dancing and chanting with him, everyone. But what happened, and he received the name Krishna Chaitanya. Now, usually, he was a Bharati, Keshava Bharati, so the disciple would receive the name of the guru, of the line of sannyas, because there's 12 different lines, and you receive a name in that line. But he didn't want to give him a Bharati name, so he said, I have to give him a Vaishnav name, and so he said that you have induced the people of the world to chant the name of Krishna, and by inaugurating the movement of Sankirtan, you have awakened people's consciousness, Chaitanya. Therefore, your name will be Shri Krishna Chaitanya, because of you, everyone will become fortunate. And so, when Nimai, when they woke up in the morning, Sachi was sitting there, and the devotees, they go bathe in the Ganga, then they come to see Mahaprabhu, and they come and they see Sachi still frozen in the doorway, and they said, "What are you sitting in the doorway for?" And she just said, everything, all of the property of the Lord, it belongs to his devotees, so all of you just take whatever you want, because the Lord has left, Nimai has left to take sannyas. And imagine, everyone just starts screaming and wailing and falling unconscious on the ground. And you know how it is in India. In America they wouldn't do anything, right? Like if you hear screaming. And so then everyone comes running. What's all the ruckus about? And the whole village is there, and they hear, he took sannyas. And then they just start crying and falling on the ground and rolling. And then even the offenders, they came and they said, "Oh, just see how we're so unfortunate, or I'm so unfortunate that I never took advantage of his association, and now I'm so sorry for my offenses." So everyone, all the devotees were just madly in separation. And then Sachi Mata and Vishnu Priya, they just would embrace each other, and Vishnu Priya never went anywhere. She would go with Mother Sachi every day just to bathe in the Ganga. she would go to take bath, and then she just stayed home, and she became very thin, as did Sachi, very thin and pale and lean, and just crying and just you can imagine just so much grief stricken for their life, and how Vishnu Priya she just would chant japa all day, and she would just take a little bit of rice, like for each mantra, perhaps a grain of rice, and then at the end of the night just cook that. That was all she ate. Very, very austere. But Lord Chaitanya, he did this for all of us. And you see, and also to repay his debt to Srimati Radharani, because now at Puri, he's in the mood of Radha, and Jagannath is Krishna. And you see, like even in India, like at the turn of the century, the late 1800s, even then, like sannyas was very respected. It probably still is, right? So, it's kind of in the blood. There's that kind of culture of respect. And so the Ram Krishna mission, they started different monasteries and ashrams, temples, and they had sannyasis, many sannyasis, and they were greatly respected, even though they were modern in a sense. They would ride in cars later on. They would wear shoes, whereas previously they didn't do this. And then, in our disciplic succession, really only Bhaktivedanta Thakur, starting with him, he revolutionized preaching of Krishna consciousness, and he, because there was the Brahma Samaj. You heard of that, Brahmo Samaj, where the intellectuals, like last night, was it Devaramrita Swami was here, or the night before? Valentine's Day, like the whole room packed with young men learning about brahmachari life, I guess, because I wasn't allowed to come in, they said. But it was mostly college students. So back then, at the turn of the century, the college students, the intellectuals, they were enamored of the Western ideas, but at the same time tried to combine the tradition of religious India with modernism. So Bhaktivedanta, he catered to these people, himself being quite an eclectic, not born in a Vaishnava family, and quite an eclectic himself, and then coming to Vaishnavism. But he preached, like he was able to bridge the gap. So then Bhakti Siddhanta, his son, he took sannyas at only 44 years old, and he initiated many of his brahmacharis into sannyas. So he had, like every temple, at least had a resident sannyasi, and they would travel to, and then to also, for the same preaching strategy as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the same thing, so that the devotees would be respected, so that people would hear from them, because previously they were just considered sentimentalist and of no serious consequence. So he also took advantage of that kind of preaching, of being sannyas, and of his preachers going out every day and distributing transcendental knowledge, and they used to go out early at 7:30, just like you all have. They have an early breakfast here for the preachers who are going out early, but there, they usually did it. But then they'd come back for lunch, and every day was an istagosti after lunch, like at 1:30. Every day an istagosti that Bhakti Siddhanta himself would lead when he was there. And he had 64 temples, so at every other temple, if there was a resident sannyasi or visiting sannyasi, or whoever was senior most devotee would lead that istagosti. And the istagosti was not about... Explain what istagosti... Oh, istagosti Well, that's what I mean. It used to be philosophy. Now our ISKCON are a lot about, where to keep your shoes and, how to wash the plates and, the logistics of running an institution. But they were back then, the ISKCON was all philosophy. So imagine how strong these preachers were. They went out at 7:30 in the morning, came back at noon, and then when you're going door to door, you could see the same people. Like when you're on the street, you don't know if you'll meet the same person again. But door to door, if somebody asked a question, then they would say, if they didn't know it, I will tell you tomorrow. Then at the ISKCON, you could ask your question and have it answered, and all the other preachers can hear the answer, so they would be equipped with this arsenal of transcendental knowledge and very, very potent. And this temple so much reminds me of Bhaktisiddhanta's vision, the Gaudiya Math, and his vision of spreading Krishna consciousness. And it's closer to anything I've seen, So anyway, I don't want to go over time, but we are so grateful to Lord Caitanya, because where would we be without him? And then our Srila Prabhupada took sannyas for the same reason. He said, I didn't want to, but my guru told me, Bhaktisiddhanta came in dream, told him to take sannyas. And, and just see, like, we can see even in our like today there was a sannyasi, Nava Jogendra Swami, and I was like, wow, where did everyone come from? The whole temple room was packed, but the class was in Hindi. I didn't understand a word of it, which is really nice because usually everyone has to hear English. So it must have been nice for all of you to hear a Hindi class. But, like everyone loves a sannyasi, right? Because we know they've given up so much for the sake of sharing Krishna consciousness, and that makes them very attractive, and that we want to hear from them. Like I was like, really, where did everyone come from? Like, is it because you have a strong network? Like, is that how everyone heard he was going to be here, or what? Like, how did they all come? It was through the internet. But even the fact that they go on and check it. So anyway, it's amazing. And I'm sure when Radhanath Swami visits, the temple room's packed, standing room only, right? People are out hearing on the speakers and stuff. So we all are eager to take association of genuine sannyasis because they inspire us that, it's not like we're thinking, oh, it's too painful to surrender. Surrender to Krishna, that's going to be painful. But they show us that the more we surrender, the more happy that we will be, and that Krishna, don't worry, for everything we give up for our service, Krishna is going to supply something much better. It's different, just within our heart, more love for him and facility to glorify him. So it's a little bit, scary, but the sannyasis teach us that, that it's well worth it. So anyway, we have just a few more minutes. Does anyone have any comments or questions about these discussions? Yes? Oh, microphone, she said? Oh.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that someone once said that the sannyasi gives up his immediate family to take on the family of the world. Like everyone becomes his family.
Right.
Isn't it?
Right, to give that love, expand the love to everyone. Like instead of just your spouse and your children and your parents and your nieces and nephews, to expand to like as much wider range of people. But yes?
I want to share one experience which occurred with me. I had some tension with one lady, and in that tension she snatched my chunni and went away. And it was a bandhani chunni. and I couldn't get it back. But after a couple of months, I happened to go to Delhi, and my Rakhi brother gave me a chunni, a bandhni chunni as a gift. And he told me, this is a prasad from Jaipur, 100 years old temple of Lord Krishna.
Jai. So you felt reciprocation from the Lord.
And I felt this happens in these days, because it happened many years back. Draupadi, got a lot of...
Draupadi surrendered everything, right? Took shelter.
Yeah, she got, like when somebody was snatching her sari, Lord Krishna gave her...
Yes, he kind of incarnated as cloth, right? Yeah.
And I don't chant a lot for Lord Krishna, but only thing I do since childhood is I tie Rakhi to Lord Krishna.
Uh-huh. All right, because he's your protector.
He's my brother.
Yes, and your protector, and you're his protector, huh? Okay, well, thank you. Anything else? We have... All right. So anyway, yes? Oh, here's the mic. Coming back.
In the last canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it said that when one chants the holy name of Lord, one gets immediately freed from the material desires of bondages. But in the story of Ajamil, it said that when Ajamil chanted the holy name of Narayan, he didn't get immediately freed from the material bondage. He didn't immediately go to Vaikuntha planet.
Uh-huh.
Then he just went to Ganges after that incident, and he performed austerities. And only when he became free from all the material desires, for many liberated souls from Vaikuntha planet came to him to take him to Vaikuntha. So it seems that besides chanting the holy name of Lord, one also needs to get freed from material desires. So this is my opinion. So do you have any second opinion regarding this?
No, but the fact is that the name will... You see, Ajamil appeared how many thousands of years ago? Was it millions? You see, in this age of Kali, then the chanting of the holy name is the recommended process for this age. And then that is the process for purifying the heart. But also, you can add, like that level of attention as well, because one could chant with offenses and not purify the heart, if we're just full of offenses. So this is recommended for this day and age. But Ajamil sure got a good break, because he was destined for degradation, for a hellish existence because of his heinous activities. So he got, that opportunity to perform those austerities and penance. And even those austerities, they become kind of pleasing compared to the life that he was leading. It would be very pleasing existence. But we must also... But the thing is, it's not an extraneous endeavor that by the chanting of the holy name, it happens imperceptibly without our even consciously chanting just to do that. Because you see, it's just, it's kind of like we say a glass of water. If it's full, well then you can't put any milk in it or what? That when we open up, when we leave space for the spiritual activities, then they will replace the material and the material desires. But otherwise, just like chanting, right? Sometimes people stop chanting, like they're chanting for some time, chanting japa, and then they stop. So why did they stop? They stopped because something took its place. We didn't give that time, our prioritist time, to the chanting, and then other things distracted our attention, and then we lose our taste for chanting. And it's not that you could say you found a different pleasure or a higher pleasure. There is no higher pleasure, but still it makes us forget, and we get distracted, and like that, and then our time is filled up with other things, because our time is so limited and so precious, and if we don't make the time, then material desires will flood the heart, and everybody has them. It's not like it's just a few like that.
Appeared in which age? In age of Kali Yuga, Dwapar, or something else?
Ajamil appeared way back, didn't he? Anybody know? Which, Satya?
It's in the 6th.
Dwarpa? You said Dwarpa, you? Satya, really?
Satya Yuga.
So way back.
Is it mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam that he appeared in Satyug?
He seems to know. I don't remember. Oh, really? Today? Really? So today in Hindi, Maharaj told. That's why I missed it.
But in scriptures it is mentioned that in Satyug, the devotee, most of the people were very pure-hearted. And there were cases of lapses in case of dharma was not heard of. So how did Ajamil in Satyug got lapsed in respect of dharma?
Yeah, because of association, right? By bad association. But Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, they also appeared in such a yuga. So it was very rare, but it still occurred because, the soul is eternal, and it could have even been material desires from previous life. But then, like Ajamil, it just said that he was born in a pure Brahmin family, but just by observing the activities of some low-class people, that he became infected. So that's why all this media, which is so degraded, it actually infects the consciousness and makes one think that it's attractive or something like that.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you. Okay, now what do you do now? You have prasadam? Oh, kirtan. So nobody cares about prasadam here, or you took earlier? That's very good, because most people are downstairs only prasadam, right? Many people. So thank you very much for your very good attention. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.